Welcome to Rexall Place. My name is Tim Shipton. I will be the MC of the program today. Before we get started, just to set the context and the mood of this very historic media availability, we have a short video that we'd like to play. So without further ado, please cue up the video.
Stand by, everybody. Here we go. In Game 5 from the Northlands Coliseum in Edmonton. And this city has gone hockey crazy.
Sandy Moe tries to glitz this cup until you win that fourth game. It is an over.
But here is Gretzky. 2-on-1. Semenko waits for the pass. So does Gretzky. Gretzky scores. Honey gets set. Fired it in. Melanson stops it. Rebound. Score. Another drive. Score. The crowd is going crazy here in Edmonton. The crowd starting to roar a little louder now. 25 seconds to play. Waiting for the punch clear down the ice. There's a new punch on the block in the National Hockey League. The Oilers have won the Stanley Cup.
Shivers, not sure what will. Just some brief introductory comments. On behalf of Mr. Darryl Cates and the Edmonton Oilers organization, we want to welcome you. It's a very special media event, some 30 years in the making. It's an honor on behalf of the organization on the eve of our 2014-15 home opener tomorrow night to be hosting one of the greatest teams in the history of the Edmonton Oilers, if not all of hockey. And it certainly is a tremendous sense of pride. Everybody in the organization who's been involved in this 84 reunion, and certainly right across Edmonton, to have this legendary team in the city. The format for the media availability today, we're going to have some introductory comments from Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier. We'll then open up the floor for the media to ask questions. We have 2 microphones manned by Oilers staff. I just ask that you wait until the mic gets to you and just identify yourself. After the formal availability, we're going to take a short 5-minute break. The team will go back into the dressing room. We're going to clear this area for the mix zone with the team, which will be an informal opportunity for members of the media to ask questions of the team. So without further ado, I don't think that either of these gentlemen need any introduction more than saying, Wayne and Mark, take it away.
Well, first of all, thank you, and I'll speak for a few minutes and I'll let Mark take over, but I want to, first of all, thank the Oilers and Darryl Cates. This has really been a special time for us. We were kids back then, and Glenn used to always tell us that this is something you guys will take forever. It's history, and the memory of winning a Stanley Cup is something you'll never forget, and he was so right. It's a special group, and I wanted to just really take the chance to thank all the players for coming in, the trainers, the coaches, Glenn, Teddy, John, and of course Peter Pocklington, who was the owner of the team that brought this franchise to the city of Edmonton in 1979. And for us, we're just really proud of the fact that we're Edmonton Oilers and we had a chance to win a Stanley Cup and play in this city. So thank you to everyone for coming. And I know we're going to have a great few days, and I hope you guys enjoy the time too.
Yeah, I never finished high school, so this is my first actual reunion. So it's great to be here. I think the first thing that comes to my mind is what a great time that we had back in the 80s and leading up to this Stanley Cup, and the little bit of heartbreak that we had until we finally won the championship in '84. And the collective group of people that are on the stage right now, we're all responsible for that cup and many of the other ones. And I see some young Oil Kings sitting in the stands up here. And I think the thing that every one of us on the stage would say right now is that you can't win a championship on your own, and it takes a collective group effort. And I can't tell you how many times that we talked about what it was like to play for the Oilers back then, and I can only say that it was the most incredible, unselfish group of players that probably any of us have ever played with. And I guess in order to win 5 Stanley Cups in 7 years, it takes that kind of commitment to the group, not to the individual. And like Wayne said, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be speaking on behalf of the team, and I'm sure everybody will have a chance to get the comments from everybody else later in the program. But great to be here. I see a lot of familiar faces from back that were covering our team. I see some new faces from the team and from the press, but it's just an honor to be back in Edmonton and celebrating one of the most incredible times in the history of the National Hockey League.
Thank you, Wayne and Mark. Well, indeed. All right, our 2 roving mics are lovely Andrea in the red, or excuse me, in the blue, and Kelsey in the white, colorblind. Jonesy, go ahead.
Start with Wayne. Can you talk about the number of phone calls that you and others had to make to get all this group here? And
you know what? That's the thing about this group. You put sort of one guy in charge, and we were lucky that Kevin and his staff, and then Barry Stafford really took the bull by the horns. And Mark said it best 3 minutes ago. It was a really unselfish group. And when we said, you know what, this is going to be a fun event, we'll raise a lot of money for charity, and selfishly, we'll have a great time. And it's one phone call for this group to be together. Glenn used to always say, you know, we had an itinerary, and we used to always say, well, it's not really an itinerary, it's just a guideline, because everything always changed. And with this group of guys, though, everybody just always jumped in, and I think, as to a man, we're more excited to be here than maybe the city is to have us here.
Next question. Just put a hand up so I can see you. Don't be shy. This is the first time I've seen this media mass speechless.
I'm one of the new guys who clearly wasn't here when you guys were here. I'm Dustin Nielsen with TSN 1260. For Wayne or Mark, did you guys realize at the time when you guys were winning your first cup, not only the impact you're making on the city, but on the league and the game in general? Because you guys kind of changed the way it was played. Did you realize at the time?
I don't think we realized it at the time, because you're so busy just trying to, a lot of us came here when we were 18 years old. We're just trying to hang on to the rope to stay in the league when we first got here. But I think a big influence from the Oilers came from the WHA and the great European players that came over there, and Glenn being the coach of some of those and seeing the great players in Winnipeg and around the league kind of really brought that influence into the Oilers. And I guess the other part of that is that, we were scared to death, and the way to stay out of trouble was to skate as fast as we could out of there against the big bad Flyers and all the other big teams in the National Hockey League. So skating really became a staple of our game. And the free flowing. I remember playing on the line with Ron Chipperfield and Bill Cowboy Flett, God rest his soul, and it was the middle of the game, and I ended up somehow over inside our zone on his side of the ice there, and he looked at me, he says, "Get the hell out of here!" Because he was kind of into the old school of up and down the wing kind of hockey, and we're kind of trying to play this more weaving style, more innovative European style. So that was quite interesting. But I think as time wore on, obviously we knew that the style of play that we were introducing, it forced the league to play and change because of us. And if they were going to compete against us, they were going to have to skate and up their talent level as well, which is, looking back on it now, is quite gratifying, I think, to everybody in here that we were able to have that big of impact in the league.
We have a question in front. Derek, go ahead.
Hi, Paul. This one's for you, I guess. Can you just give us your reaction when you were contacted about this reunion? I imagine it'd been a long time since you'd seen some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne's Wayne's chatted about it. It was a little bit of a no-brainer, and it's amazing how some things don't change over the years. When Wayne asks for something, we usually do it. We were trained that way at an early age. I think that anytime you have your leader that is your hardest worker and asks you something to do, you do it. But I'm just listening to Mark, and I got Glenn sitting beside me here, and I was drafted here in 1980 out of. As Rod Phillips called it, a fine Russian defenseman out of the Kitchener Ranger chain. But came to Edmonton, and we were playing a modified European style, which was suited every guy sitting up here perfectly. And we had our bumps and bruises along the way, and Jonesy's sitting there, and we still do remember that weak-kneed wimps that you called us. But all that stuff through the media, made us better. I'm telling you, it's a great place to play, a tough place to play, but it really makes you accountable. And you sit back and you look at the trials and tribs we had along the way, and what John and Teddy and Glenn, not especially John, but John Muckler was very instrumental in breaking everything down for us. And I think that the Islanders that first year, they beat us 4 straight, and we knew we were better than that, at least for a win or two, and we didn't get it, and we came back the next year, and Muck kind of devised a system to get us out of the end without taking away from our creativity, which Glenn here wouldn't allow it. He wanted us to be a fast skating team, and if you look at that last game, we're up 4-0 going into the third period, and we're all racing around like a bunch of kids. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I remember Lee here sitting to my left saying, guys, just relax. We're going to go out there and play the way we do. And that third period, I believe it was LaFontaine that went out and got 2 quick goals. So you want to see a bunch of pro hockey players with their manhood shrink. That was us real fast. But if you watch that last game, you'll see Slats on the bench, and you can read his lips, and he just says, relax. Just keep playing. And that's what we kept doing. We had 2 forecheckers, 1 guy high, and we played the way we did. And I'm not sure what I'm going on about here, but Gretz called. We're here, and it's going to be a great time. Thanks.
Let's go to Mark.
And
go
that's
ahead.
how he played defense. He just kind of went with it.
For Wayne, Koff just talked about how Glenn Sather figured out how this team should play, and he put you guys together, and he got you on your way. What were the things that Glenn Sather taught you guys when you were young players that we wouldn't know about? How did he help form this team?
Well, that's pretty easy from my point of view, and you probably agree. He was probably harder on us than our parents were. And it's kind of funny when I say to people, when I was 19 years old, he really pushed me. And when Paul was 20, when Mark was 21, he pushed us. That was the first thing he did. And we had a respect level for him because the very first phone call you ever made, if you got something bad happen or something wasn't right, if you called Glenn, he was going to take care of it. So he really became like a father to all of us, and especially the younger guys who were here at 18, 19, 20. And then he had this ability to let us live. We had one rule when we were Edmonton Oilers, and that was never embarrass the team. So we used to always kind of kid about it. Practice would start around 11 o'clock. The bus would leave around 4 o'clock. Those little things never bothered him. And he liked family around. So if your father was in a city, he wanted him on the bus. If your mom and dad were in a different city, he wanted them on the bus. So he really made us understand that work ethic is important, and yet family was really important. And he was the catalyst of the organization. And we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for his foresight and his vision. I told him for a 6-goal scorer, he had tremendous hockey sense. Because he really believed. Mark said earlier, he loved the Winnipeg Jets of the 70s, and he built our team on the style of Alf Samuelsson and Alfie Nilsson and Kent Nielsen and Anders Hedberg and Bobby Hull, and he wanted that from day one here, and he got that. And I always tell people we might not have been the best team ever played, but we're actually a lot of fun to watch.
question back here for Glenn Mindariwal with CBC. Glenn, when you guys won the cup in '84, did you know that this was going to happen again? Did you have a feeling that these guys could be unstoppable and win 3 more the way they did?
Absolutely. I thought maybe 10, 12 more. I don't think anybody can tell you you're going to continually win. There's so much that goes into a team and the spirit inside the team and how it functions, whether you've got the right trainers, the right doctors, the right owners, injuries. There's 1,000 things that happen during a season, and you can have the greatest talent in the world, and for some reason, if something goes wrong, there's no guarantee in hockey. This is a tough league, and it's a tough sport, and you can see by the look of all these guys here how tough they are after going through what they've gone through. And it takes a lot of hard work. You know, this team played, I think, 104 games that year that they won. Plus, we played 11 exhibition games in those days. And we used to practice 40 or 45 minutes almost every day, and we never had a charter. So these guys put up with a lot. And they had to put up with me, and that's not easy. But they're a great bunch of guys, and I've always said since the beginning that a great coach is only made by great players. You know, we just stand by the gate and open it and let them go. And I used to say that to them all the time. Let's go. Have some fun.
Thank you. We'll go to the middle here.
Question.
It's working.
Question for Wayne, Dean Millard from TSN 1260. That famous story about walking past the Islanders dressing room after you had lost and realizing what you guys had to do. Was there any one particular player on the Islanders that you particularly took something from that said, that's the level I need to get to, or anything like that?
I don't think it was one particular player. They say sometimes you got to lose to learn how to win, and I think we understood that after '83. We weren't quite committed to the level to become a Stanley Cup champion. And I'm not trying to say that to take anything away from the Islanders, because they deserved to beat us, and they beat us fair and square, and they were a better team. But we had a hatred with each other. We hated them, and they hated us, but we had a respect factor too. We respected them as a team, the individual players they had, and we learned so much from them. And we probably, as much as we all knew and as hard as we played, winning that Stanley Cup had a lot to do with the fact that we had learned from the Islanders. And so, you know, when you walk out of a Stanley Cup final, if you can walk out of there, you didn't do your best, because it's physically and mentally demanding, as Glenn said. You get beat up really bad. And, you know, we used to always say, hitters have to hit, and if they're going to do that, then the offensive guys better take a hit to make a play. And that's what separates champions from good teams. And so, as a group, everyone did that.
Terry?
Glenn, you walk in here today and you look at these guys. Do they look like a bunch of 50-year-old guys to you, or do you look at them and see those 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old guys?
Yeah, Willie looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I see them, you know, like you see them. But I remember everything about them. I remember all the incidents and the fun and the games that we had. I can remember 1,000 events that I'm never going to tell you guys about. But, I mean, I see memories. And, you know, every time you talk to one guy, you get to speak to another guy, and then the memories start flooding back about all the events that we went through and good times we had. So I just see a lot of good guys up here.
Glenn,
Maddie, go ahead.
Glenn, I just want to ask you how you put Coffey and Huddy together as a pair. And I want to ask Koff about playing with Charlie Huddy.
Gretz has got the answer right there. Nobody wanted to play with me. Nobody could figure out how I played. I remember when Slats put us together, and I walked in the dressing room and I said, Charlie, I got some good news and some bad news. The good news is you're playing tonight. The bad news is you're playing with me. And if in doubt, get it over. But, I mean, Charlie, I do remember we practiced at Father something, that real cold rink, Slats? Father Bauer or something? Because we were out there freezing our butts off, and Slats came out with a fur coat on. skating around at practice, and Charlie had just come up from Wichita, I believe, and you could tell from first practice that he belonged. Then the next day there was a picture of Charlie in the paper, I think sitting on a net or something, and it said Charlie who. Well, it only took a few games before everybody knew who Charlie was. I mean, he was a perfect complemented guy for me. He was loose. Believe it or not, he used to sing to me when I carried the puck around the net. He used to go, "You can dance if you want to," as I'm wheeling up the ice. But we had a lot of fun. Charlie was a perfect fit for me, and thank you for putting him with me, Glenn.
I think what Koff is forgetting to tell you, though, is when Charlie first came up there, that Koff told him, if you really want to impress the coaches, I'll stand in front of the net and you work both corners.
Slots came down from about up there and said, "Huddy, what are you doing?"
And Charlie goes, "As I'm told."
I don't think I can answer any more than that. He pretty well covered it.
Okay, Ryan, go ahead.
For Glenn Anderson, Ryan Rashog from TSN. Glenn, I wonder what it's like when you all get together 30 years later as a team, if the dynamic still is the same. The guys who were hard on certain guys still are, if the jabs keep going in the same direction, and if maybe anybody up here has a bit of a sharper tongue than people might know.
Well, that's what makes this group so unique and different and special, because of the fact that everyone's got a sharp tongue. And you better have rhinoceros skin, otherwise you're not going to survive with this group, because on the way out, there's like that, Koff used to say, the best time is the 20 minutes before going on the ice. And if you can get through those first 20 minutes before stepping onto that ice, of all the comments that the guys have against each other, you can get through anything. And what else is really special is once we walked through that threshold of the door, they were your brothers, they were your family. You all became one. All the individual stuff that was outside, any outside noise, all went away, and everything was so special in that room, and that's what made this group so great.
Thank you. Two more questions. We got one at the back. Go ahead.
Sorry, Dean from Canadian Press. It's pretty much for anybody on the panel. If you took the team from '84 and put them on the ice today in today's NHL, how would they fare?
Just repeat it again for Yari. You missed it.
I missed that question, sorry.
Where's Tick? He'll repeat it.
Sorry, I missed that question.
It's okay. I'm just wondering how the game has changed in the last 30 years. If you put this team on the ice today, how would it do? How would it fare?
Score is right there. Surely the games have changed, there's no question. I think that the players are bigger and faster these days, that's for sure. I've been involved in hockey for many years, but skill levels for this team, for example, you can't beat that the way this team played those years. It's just amazing. Not only the first two lines, I think that our third and fourth line was a very key part of this team. Everybody forget those guys, how important they was in this hockey club. And it was a group. Team was always winning, not because of Wayne or Mess or Kevin. It's always a team who won. That was very important for us.
Thank you. Okay,
I'll take a little stronger stance on that and say that we would fare very well. And just to make a point that the players are faster, that may be true, but Mike Gartner still holds the fastest time around the rink for any hockey player in 12.2 seconds. I think the difference nowadays is that players are probably trained better so they can sustain the shift longer. And I would argue to say that because of the guy sitting to my left here, I would stack us up against any team on any day in any era, and I would take our chances.
All right, we're going to end the formal part of the media availability. The team is going to go back into the dressing room.
Can you just give 1 second? I want to thank everyone for coming, but I want to thank especially the European guys. Puz, Yaroslav Puzar here. We have Manny Väisänen, one of the scouts, is here.
Where's Manny?
He's sitting in the stands. Raimo Suminen. Mike Zanier lives in Sweden, am I right? Am I missing any other European guys? Willie, of course. Willie Lidstrom here, looks like he can still play. And of course, the greatest right winger ever, Gary Curry. So thank everyone for coming and listen. Who else is? Oh, and Rick Chartraw came from Australia. I didn't know that, sorry. Shardy, all right. And Donnie Jackson coaches in Munich, Germany, Donnie? Red Bull in Munich, Germany. And of course, we say this all the time, Mark, Kevin, and I, Paul, the real captain of our hockey team in all those years was Lee Fogelin, and it's great to see Lee here. So thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you. Okay, gentlemen, the team is going to make its way back to the dressing room. We're going to take about 5 minutes to refresh, and then we'll do the mix zone.
Blitz this cup until you win that fourth game. It is a no-brainer. But here is Gretzky. Still on one. Semenko waits for the pass. So does Gretzky. Gretzky scores. Huddy gets set. Fired to them. And on some stuff. Rebound. Score. The crowd starting to roar a little louder now. 25 seconds to play. Waiting for the